Hey guys, it's Saga from TechWorks. In this video, we will take a detailed look at the dual cameras on the Asus Zenfone 5Z. In my city, it has been raining for the entire time that I have had this phone. Now this phone does not have any IP rating and Asus did not mention anything about it being splash resistant. But I still took it out on rainy days to get image samples since I wanted to get this video out for you guys. Just like any other flagship, Zenfone 5Z comes with a dual camera setup at the back. Primary camera has a 12 megapixel sensor with f1.8 aperture, 24mm lens, and each individual pixel has a size of 1.4 micrometer, so it captures a lot of information. It uses face detection for autofocus and gets 4-axis optical image stabilization. Secondary camera has an 8 megapixel sensor with f2.2 aperture. This one has a 12mm wide lens which gives you a 120-degree field of view and lets you take ultra-wide angle shots. You can shoot 4K videos in up to 60 frames per second and 1080p and 720p videos in up to 240 frames per second. This phone uses OIS in some cases and EIS in others to stabilize the videos. Optical stabilization is always active while taking images. But when it comes to videos, OIS only works while shooting 4K and 1080p videos in 60 fps, while EIS is only used to stabilize 30 fps videos. At front, we have an 8 megapixel camera with f2.2 aperture and it offers an 84-degree field of view. These cameras have some AI functionalities. It can detect and differentiate various scenes like food, sky, people, and so on. It will also adjust the camera settings in auto mode accordingly to give you best possible outcome. Interface of the camera app is very busy with lot of options, but it is pretty intuitive. There is an option to switch between the normal and the wide lens just above the shutter button. You have the HDR, aspect ratio, portrait mode, flash, and timer options at the top. You can swipe to the left to access various filters and to the right to access various other shooting modes. There is a Pro mode which will let you tweak all the settings according to your liking, and it also has the level and histogram overlay on the viewfinder which comes in handy in certain situations. This phone has already received a couple of software updates in the last 2 or 3 weeks, and the camera performance has improved a bit with each of these updates. Alright, now let's get to the image and video samples. But before that, make sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of the amazing videos coming up on this channel. Starting with the daylight conditions, primary camera captures good and crisp images. There are plenty of details in these images thanks to the larger individual pixel size. As you can see, these pictures are taken in very overcast conditions, but the Zenfone 5Z had no problems delivering crisp and detailed images. It doesn't seem to handle high exposure situations very well when in auto mode, but in most other situations, images from this phone are pleasantly surprising. It captures accurate colors no matter the lighting conditions that you are in. The camera has a tendency to slightly overexpose the photos, so sliding down the exposure manually will give you much better looking images. It doesn't offer the best dynamic range when the HDR is set to auto, but with the HDR mode enabled, it can help save a lot of shots. Just look at how much details the HDR mode brought back from the sky while bringing up the shadows and enhancing the colors of the scene. This is another example where the HDR mode brought up shadows and made the overall image look good. Here is a quick focusing speed test before we move on to the close-up shots. Thanks to face detection autofocus, it is quick at switching the focus from near to far objects. But the switch in focus is very abrupt and it doesn't look very subtle or smooth. Once it sets the focus on a particular subject, results are amazing. Thanks to the wide f1.8 aperture, you get a very nice bokeh or background blur in your images. The subject that you are trying to capture is in perfect focus, while rest of the scene just melts away in the background, making the image look very good. 5Z can take portrait images with the rear camera, and you can actually change the amount of blur in the background of your images to make it look more natural. It does a fairly good job of isolating the subject from the background, but a few software refinements would definitely improve its edge detection, especially around the hair. I noticed that the dynamic range is affected while taking portrait shots, and as a result, there is exposure clipping in skin tones on brighter parts of the images. So if you take some time composing your shots according to the lighting conditions, you can end up with good looking portrait shots. It doesn't do a very good job with the portrait mode images in lower lighting conditions. While taking portrait shots of objects, I had mixed results. In some images like these, it does a really good job of detecting the edges. But in some of the images, it blurred the parts of the main subject which was not supposed to be blurred. It tried to do a good job with this picture, but still did not detect the edges of the flowers perfectly. But to be fair, this was a pretty complex subject to begin with, and most of the other flagships would have also failed at capturing perfect portrait images of this scene. The subject of this image is a bit too dark, but it still did a good job considering that the background was very bright. Here is another good looking portrait shot. You should definitely play around with this slider and determine the sweet spot for the amount of blur that looks most natural to you. Thanks to the wide lens on the secondary camera, you can take interesting shots like this. It helps you capture so much more information than you normally can and gives your image a unique perspective. Since the secondary lens has a lower megapixel count, quality of its images is not as good as the images from the primary camera. The overall image is softer and there are not many details if you try to zoom in on any particular shot that is taken with this wide camera. Now that brings us to indoor and lower lighting shots. This is where most of the smartphone cameras start showing their weakness. But thanks to the larger pixel size, wide aperture and optical image stabilization, Zenfone 5Z continues to capture good images in these situations as well. It captures good looking vibrant colors in artificial light, and the detail levels are also very high in each of these shots. Noise levels, if any, are kept to minimum, and I have to give ASUS full points for not disappointing us with the low light capabilities of this camera. In certain situations, I would have loved to see sharper images, especially along the lines in this particular image. But for the price that we are paying, I don't think there is any other phone that can produce similar looking results. I am curious to compare these low light images with the OnePlus 6 and see if there is any major difference between the two. Coming to the 8 megapixel front facing camera, it has a wide field of view, so you can get many of your friends in one shot. Selfies are detailed and sharp, but in certain situations, it lags behind in dynamic range. Nevertheless, you will be happy with most of the front facing shots that you can take with this phone. It allows you to take portrait images with the front facing camera as well. And surprisingly, it does a very good job. It is great at differentiating the subjects on the background, even if you have multiple people in the shot, which is something that many of the other smartphones struggle with. It is not perfect, especially around the hair and ears, but it still does better than most of the other smartphones in this price range. And I am also sure ASUS will continue improving this camera with the software updates. Here is a quick video sample from the front facing camera of the ASUS Zenfone 5Z. It is pretty overcast, it was raining until a few minutes back, that's why I am wearing a raincoat. These are not exactly the ideal conditions for shooting videos, but you still get an idea of how the phone handles the exposure and colors in the background. When it comes to shooting videos, you can capture 4K or 1080p videos at 30 fps which are electronically stabilized, while 60 fps videos in both these resolutions get optical stabilization. You can also take 240 fps slow motion videos in up to 1080p resolution. Here are few of the clips that I shot in slow motion. If you shoot these slow motion videos outside in well lit conditions, the results can be really interesting. So with all these image and video samples, it is clear that the Zenfone 5Z does a stellar job in the camera department. It is one of the most affordable flagship smartphone in the market right now, and we might as well call it the smartphone with best set of cameras in its price range. If you are planning to get this phone, then just go ahead without any hesitation. You are not only getting a very good set of cameras, but also an all-round flagship smartphone at an amazing price. I also have the OnePlus 6, which is its closest competition in terms of specs and price, and I will be comparing the cameras on these two phones in my next video. So if you are looking forward to that video, definitely make sure you are subscribed to the channel and also have the notifications turned on so you are the first ones to know as soon as the video goes live. So these have been my views about the camera on the ASUS Zenfone 5Z. Other than slightly weaker secondary camera and slightly lower dynamic range while taking portrait images, there is not a lot to complain about at this price. What are your thoughts about the dual cameras on this phone? Let me know in the comments. That is it for this video guys. Please hit the like button if you enjoyed this video and subscribe to the channel for more quality tech videos like this. You can also check out some of the other videos from this channel. This has been Sagar and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take care.